Isiah Thomas. You know Isiah Thomas, right? Isiah Thomas played, the old guy, not the guy that played more recently for the Celtics and's been bouncing around the NBA, he got hurt, all that. Isiah Thomas, the old version, has reignited his long-standing fire with Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the former Piston star, body slammed Michael Jordan during comments made recently to a Greek television channel. That's right. This comes from television out of Greece, the TV channel that holds that country's NBA broadcast rights. Isiah, among other things, said, quote, "When I was watching The Last Dance, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it with my family and I'm thinking everything is good," he said. And then this guy comes on television and he says that he hates me and then he calls me an a-hole. Isiah, quote, continues. And then I proceeded to watch a whole documentary about him being an a-hole. I'm like, wait a minute, time out, Isiah said with a smirk on his face. Until I get an apology, this beef is going to go on for a long time. A long, long time, because I'm from the west side of Chicago. All right, close quote. So let's parse the words of Isiah Thomas. Let us discuss the question, what do you make of Isiah Thomas and his haterade of Michael Jordan? I've got Dynamo, social norms, and Ronald Reagan. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some deep dish Chicago pizza. Isiah should just order a deep dish Chicago pizza and just chill out, man. Just chill out. All right. So to tip off, Isiah Thomas is wonderfully pig-headed, right? I respect his commitment to badger MJ. Keeping the same anger for almost 40 years, close to 2 generations. That is tremendous dedication to the beef. All right, where's the beef? Iron-willed, if you will not budge an inch. He is like a donkey. He's as stubborn as a donkey. Isiah has pumped the brakes on MJ. He's digging his heels into the ground. Now, someone that may or may not have watched Isiah Thomas play against Michael Jordan a number of times in that era of the NBA, it is fascinating to watch how this has played out as these guys have become older and have, as they've aged, we've all aged, but Isiah always had a smile, and still to this day, he always has a smile on his face. But when he played, he was a menace. He was a menace behind it. Smile in the front and stab you in the back. A dynamo, human dynamo, instigator. Perfect for that era of the Pistons, a total troublemaker. That Pistons team of the late 80s and the early 90s, goons, fists, and enforcers, right? Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, players like that, legends of that day, tough guys. But Isiah Thomas, who didn't look that tough, right? He's a little guy, but he had the serpent tongue, and that did a lot of trouble. But it was the personal brouhaha with his contemporary Michael Jordan. That's what this is all about. Thomas was a wonderful player, Hall of Fame player and all that. But everything else the guy's touched since he stopped playing has been a debacle. Bad executive, failed coach, had some issues with sexual assault allegations, ran the CBA minor league system into the ground. The reason we have the G League is because Isiah Thomas ruined the CBA, which was the minor league system of pro basketball before that. And Isiah is bitter all these years later because Michael Jordan embarrassed him on the court and off the court, right? Jordan's been much better at business. He's got that Nike money and all that. And so it's a whole different world. And yet again, here we are. We're talking about a couple years ago, the Super Bowl of the pandemic was The Last Dance. That was the main sporting event during the global shutdown of athletic competition, the COVID pandemonium of 2020, when the industrial complex of sports was shut down for almost 150 days. That was what we had. And we did monologues about The Last Dance. We broke it down frame by frame. We tossed it up. We put some spice on it. Now, furthermore, how do the odds look on Michael Jordan apologizing? So the odds are slim to none, and Slim is in line A boarding a flight at gate 2 of Terminal 3. Like, Jordan has no reason to back down now. Right? Why would he? Seriously. If you have gotten to this point in your life and you haven't backed down, like, what's the point of doing it now? It's a serious question. Right? You've lived your life. You were a young guy. Now you're almost 60 years old if you're Michael Jordan. I mean, what's the point, right? From his side, Isiah Thomas was a schmuck. Early on, when Jordan was nothing, Jordan was still writing his story, and Isiah was a bigger deal, and Thomas walked all over Michael Jordan. And so that's really what this gets down to when you peel back the onion. Failing the social norms, Isiah Thomas. Be nice to those you meet on the way up. They're the same folks that you're going to meet on the way down, right? You shouldn't be, a real a-hole in life is someone that's rude to people that are cleaning toilets or picking up the trash, people like that. These are very important jobs. They don't pay particularly great, but they're very important jobs. And a lot of schmucks are rude to these people. And that's a real a-hole when you do that. And it's not quite the same comparison, but Isiah Thomas did not like Michael Jordan from Jump Street. And the famous story, whether it's true or not, it's the legend. When the legend becomes the fact, you go with the legend. It's the man that shot Liberty Valance. Isiah Thomas was responsible, the legend is, for orchestrating the freeze-out of a then rookie Michael Jordan in the 1985 NBA All-Star Game. So that goes all the way back, right? We are closing in on 40 years. It'll be here before you know it. And then in 1991, Isiah was the mastermind of the Bad Boy Pistons, great team in that era, who walked out without shaking hands with Michael Jordan after the Bulls had won the Eastern Conference Finals. And then you look at the financial element to this. There's a lot of variables to it, but Jordan is a tycoon at Nike, owner of an NBA team that he's worth, just himself, he's worth $1.6 billion. And we're pretty sure that Michael Jordan doesn't give a rat's ass about Isiah Thomas being his friend. At this point in his life, he's got other things to worry about. All right, parting shot. What makes this MJ and Isiah Thomas brouhaha, this lack of friendship at this point in life, what makes it so unique? All right, so it really shows you the zeitgeist of the times. It gives you a snapshot of how different it is. Like, we all love sports. You're listening to a sports radio show at a weird hour of the day, but there was a time when there were legitimate individual rivalries and competition. And that really went away it started going away in the 90s, and really about 20 years ago, it pretty much went kaput for the most part. But in that era, when Jordan was playing and when Isiah Thomas, back in my day, but I'm just keeping it real here. Things were not manufactured. A lot of stuff we get today is manufactured. It's heavily processed. That was authentic. That was not some shtick for social media. You know how I know that? There was no social media, all right? There was no social media. It was personal. And as the money and fame have increased, and good for the athletes to make it a lot of money, they're very famous now, much more famous than I'll ever be, and you'll ever be. But the antagonism has exited. Right? It's gone. Stage left. It's out of here. Right? It's more WWE than anything else. And it's like the old quote from Ronald Reagan back in the day, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And they did. They tore down the wall. There's no walls between players. If there are, they're contrived, they're forced. It's all about building bridges, not walls these days. For example, 10 or 15 years from now, and maybe even sooner, the way the world works, there'll be a documentary made about the career of LeBron James, the big star of this year of the NBA. Who's his biggest rival? Who's the yin to the yang of LeBron James? Like, serious question. Like, who is it? Right? Who's the guy that had a personal vendetta with LeBron and vice versa? Now, unless I'm missing it, the answer is Bupkis. It has been a smooth ride. And the reason it's been a smooth ride is because that's the era we're in. We're in the era of kinship. There's a common lineage because of the AAU circuit and the fraternization that is the rule of the day. Like LeBron's buddy with everyone. I don't think he hates anybody. He's friends with everyone. There's no sandpaper. It's all silk. Smooth. Like his main enemy, if you ask who's LeBron's main rival, it would be factions of the media that point out the frailties of LeBron James. Like when he pretends to read a book and he doesn't actually read the book, and then somebody asks him about the book and he hems and haws and doesn't have an answer because he didn't actually read the book. Like that's the enemy of LeBron, but there aren't many of those people out there. There's people that say mean things about positions LeBron James takes, but as far as an actual bad blood rivalry, when Michael Jordan, who's 59, and Isiah Thomas, who I think is a couple years older, I think he's in his early 60s, I believe, but the point is, like when LeBron's that age, 20 years from now, when LeBron's hitting 60, right, when he's getting that age, is he going to be having a beef with some former player? I would be shocked. Right? The modern NBA player is listening to the same playlist. They're all listening to the same playlist. Fat, rich, and happy. Mazel tov. Good for them. But this Isiah Thomas Jordan story, it shows you that in previous generations, this was more than just, hey, it's professional sports. We're all making a lot of money. We're on TV. We're famous. We can be brand ambassadors for products and all that. No, it was like, yeah, I don't like that guy. Like, that guy beat my team. That guy was, I wish I could curse. I can't, but call Mama Luke, right? Mama Luke or Ragamuffin or Varmint or whatever you want to say. Unless there is a fundamental change in the money, which I don't see happening. If we got through a global pandemic and the money stayed the same and it's gone up, then it's not going to happen. I mean, there would have to be some cataclysmic event that I mean, who knows?